Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Board of Selectmen's meeting Monday, January 25th. And I'd like to start off, Chief, will you start off with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a moment of silence? Thank you. Do we have any public comment tonight? No public comment. Approval of the minutes from Monday, July 11th, 2016, the regular executive session. I need a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor? John?
Yes.
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 Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if we might take out of order approval of the one-day liquor license for Mashpee Wampanoag Rod and Gun Club.
I have no problem whatsoever. See?
I see.
So
February
the
20th.
date of February 20th, one-day license. I'll make a motion we approve the one-day license for February 20th, 2016, Mashpee Wampanoag Rod and Gun Club.
Second.
Yep. I guess you can make that a four.
All those in favor? John?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Thanks, see.
thank you.
Sam, I swear you wait out that door till 6:30 to walk through the door.
Go on, because
I have approval request, a public hearing, approval to request New Seabury Properties LLC to temporarily close the country club for deep cleaning and maintenance. Is there anyone here from New Seabury representing? Okay. Do you want to step up to here in case there's anyone, does anyone get any questions on this?
I do have one. It says in the letter, you're closing on January 2nd through the 25th of March.
Yes.
You close now?
Yes. We have a list of some dates that we'd like to be open for.
My only issue with this, I don't have a problem with you closing. To get a letter January 7th saying you're closing January 2nd, and then that requires, compliance with your license, requires our approval. Maybe next year, we could get it on December 7th so that we could approve it prior to your closing.
Sure.
Thank you.
Have we got a list of the days that you wanted to open in this?
They're in the letter.
in the
Yes.
letter?
Yeah, there is.
They're all listed in there.
Okay.
I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Do I have a motion to approve the motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the closing of the restaurant from January 2nd to March 25th, the snack bar January 4th through March 25th, with the exception of the dates that are listed in the letter to be open for a handful of individual days.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes. A second is approval for request to New Seabury Properties LLC to temporarily close the Papaneset Inn for deep cleaning.
I make a motion we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Make a motion to close this Papaneset.
You have the letters, their open days they have.
January 1st through March 31st.
So January 1st.
January 1st through March 31st for the deep cleaning.
Is there any days that they're opening?
No.
No? Okay.
The only one was.
Do I have a second?
16. Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Laurent, is she here?
She is not here. I told her to go home.
Okay, are
Had a
you?
long
going-
weekend.
Are you going to
As far,
explain these?
yeah, as far as the fee increase that she's recommending, that's all outlined in her memorandum. If anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them, but I think it's self-explanatory in the memo. And then the second item that she had was the grant that she was seeking.
I do have a question on the grant, Roger.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have to do a design plan anyway for the building? For the, like, the windows that they're asking? Because if it's in CIP, I noticed that we can just put the windows in, but if we're going through the process to get this grant, we are obligated to pay for a design fee.
Well, as you could see in the emails, I specifically stated that if there were any matching funds that were required, or if there were any upfront costs, I didn't want to obligate ourselves to this at this juncture. But my understanding is, from what I was told, that even if we did seek this, it could subsequently be rejected unless the terms and conditions were satisfactory to us.
Okay.
I have a question on each of the items. The first one on the recycling, the cost of electronics devices. Do you know
Okay.
what our cost is to get rid of these devices? Is there any margin in this, or is this exactly what it costs to dispose of these items?
That I'd have to follow up with you on.
Because I know that we had fallen behind, and I think we're paying more to dispose of some of the electronic items.
This
that-
is- she told me.
I think this is what the recommendation is attempting to address.
Right,
bring this
but at cost again, or is it, I always felt that we should be allowed to make to pay for the device to get rid of at the transfer station. I don't believe you have to have a sticker. You have to go in and you would have to pay to get rid of the device, but I don't think that helps to offset the operational cost of the transfer station. And I always felt that we should at least be able to make $1 or something on the operational cost of the transfer station.
Well, you're going to be coming out with the report for the transfer station?
Right.
So do you want me to incorporate the answers to your questions into that? So that
We could
we
do
can
that.
address it at the next
I
board
was
meeting?
just- Yeah, I was just hoping that she would have had something on that, but she doesn't, and that's fine. We
And
can-
I'll get the margin.
Okay.
We,
I mean, it also might make sense, if you don't have a sticker, we shouldn't take them.
Well, you're a resident, so, I mean, all you have to do is prove residency, even on
Okay, so-
recycling.
But not for out of town.
No, not for out of town. Well, they actually would take her for a while. I heard they could even
Yeah.
take, on non-residents for recycling. No sticker.
I think I'd like to read these too for anyone listening. They have no idea what kind of prices we're talking
Okay.
about. Electronics, monitors and televisions. Electronics, $5 is current, we're proposed 10. Monitors and televisions, 20 inches, $5 will now be 10. 20 to 35 inch is $10, will now be $25. 36-inch console is now $20, and it looks like we're not going to take them anymore. 36 to 50-inch is $35, and a 51-inch or better console is $50.
She does explain in the memo,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you've read, that unfortunately the cost of the town over the last few months has increased threefold.
Should we just defer this? You want to just defer this until you guys?
Yeah,
talk about
is
it?
there any harm in just deferring this?
I don't believe there is. I think what I would suggest is maybe table it to the next meeting, and then what
Why don't
we
we
could
do
do
Do it all at once?
is address the transfer station all at once.
Okay. I think that's fair. On the second issue of the windows in the school, now as a contractor, this is how it goes. If you have a home, what you do is you invite your suppliers in, and you invite them to give you a price on the materials. And windows, they come in and they do that survey for no cost, in hopes of getting that job. Why do we have to pay for a survey on the windows?
It's a legitimate question.
I'll attempt to answer. Because under the public bid law, you have to put out a set of specs and have people bid.
But they would be provided by the,
By us. We'd have to provide
We have to provide
specs.
them?
Yeah, so you could, you have to put out an RFP and invite bids without, you can have contractors come in and give you advice about what the RFP ought to look like, what the elements of it are, as long
I'm
as.
talking suppliers, not contractors. So a supplier will come in and do a takeoff on your house.
Right.
Measure every window and tell you exactly what the specifications are on those windows at no cost.
Right.
And they will tell you how do they need to be installed with the instructions.
Right, but we would have to, in order to bid the job, we would have to have those specs, regardless of how we get them. You could rely on a supplier coming in and saying, this is what it would take, but they'd still have to bid the job in a competitive sealed bid environment. So you have to come up with, we as the proposing community have to come up with a set of design specs.
The required specs.
That contractors and suppliers can bid on. And what'll end up happening is, the general contractor will get a price from a supplier and do a sealed bid. It'll be combined. So you won't know it until after you open it.
What I was just trying to look is to avoid the cost of the survey and the property.
Right.
Because it's a substantial building and it's gonna cost the town some money.
It
If they
is.
charge me
A lot of money.
$100 a window, I mean, it adds up pretty quick. And I don't know what they're gonna
I
charge.
kind of get the impression that's what she's trying to avoid with this grant.
Well, what she's doing is she's applying for school building authority money. And school building authority will give you,
They'll reimburse you for
they'll
that.
reimburse you a percentage of the job and the costs associated with it, like, 38. The last time they did a round was 38%. So it's still, the whole job's gonna be expensive. But, they require, as part of their process, the same specs that would have to go out for a public bid. So I don't think we're wasting money if we're gonna proceed with the project.
Well, I'm just saying you could get it for nothing.
You can't quite get it for nothing.
Right. You'd be somewhat obligated to somebody who did, but.
Well, you're not obligated to them at all. They'd be doing it at risk. So I guess.
Well, there you go.
The room you have in the procurement law is that potential bidders can participate in the development of the scope of the work as long as the piece they're adding to it is not proprietary. So in other words, you can't work with, let's say you did an IT contract, and somebody came in and said, the solution to your problem is this, and they're the only ones who sell that.
Right.
And then you turn around and put out an RFP that says, I want this, and then that guy is basically, sole sourced himself a job. Windows are windows, with some degree of variability. So a window supplier could come in, if they were so inclined, and they thought they could really beat the market, and do the measurements and say, this is what you need, here are all the measurements, here are the number of windows, the whole bit. We'd then turn around, put that in an RFP, and they'd have to have the lowest bid. And, we'd probably need to hire an engineer to stamp the plans.
Well, they come with the, windows are windows. I mean, they don't need truly to be engineered, but most of them come engineered. They have their specs when they're
Right,
manufactured.
but in order to qualify, I assure you, to qualify for the money, they're gonna want to know that an engineer looked at the specs and says, these
Yeah,
are
well,
right for this building.
that's what I'm saying. They're engineered windows. Nobody just built them in their
And
backyard.
under this program, it's eligible for the repair and.
It is.
And so we.
It is. My question
It's-
was, since this went in years ago, 2 years ago, three
Three,
cycle, we
yes.
didn't get funded.
No.
Has Catherine and the schools looked at why our project didn't get enough points to get on the funding list and address those deficiencies in this application?
It essentially came down to a number of projects and pressing needs. My understanding is there were 200 to 300 applications. The accelerated repair program is not always funded. That targets roofs, HVAC, and windows. So that's why this was not in there, because it's windows.
Okay.
There's a difference from what I was
They have different
explained.
slots.
Yes.
Priorities.
And this, in the accelerated program, did not get funded
Right.
the last time we applied.
Is it gonna get funded this time? Do they know? I mean, I guess I'd like to do a little bit of intelligence gathering to see whether there's money in this pot this time and what the authorities thinks they're gonna get for demand. They know.
Well,
They, so they might have a sense,
I mean, we're
you know,
gonna
we
do the
know we're gonna.
project anyway.
We
It
know
has
we're
to
gonna
done.
get, a bunch of, heating and roof projects that are like critical to keeping a bunch of schools functioning, and they have some sense, because they would talk to they talk to the towns. So if somebody there would talk to us and say, we get 10 million bucks and we have a $15 million critical list, your windows aren't gonna cut it, then, maybe we go down a different road.
I don't
before we
see
do it.
by okaying this that we, at potential hurt anyone, and this is a deadline submittal
Right.
of February 12th, so we'd have to do it.
No, why don't we go ahead and do it, but I'd ask.
I understand, the schools need the windows,
Oh,
I don't just.
And what I was gonna,
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any more conversation?
No.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes. Can you ask Catherine if she doesn't have somebody there that she works with to talk to me? Very good.
Laura, are you ready to speak to us? Haven't seen you in a while.
Maybe March of last year?
Hmm?
Maybe March of last year?
Yes.
Right.
You're early this year.
Hi.
Laura,
I'm,
before you get started, I have one question. Did you ever get in touch with the Water District?
Yes.
Because they're the ones that have been handling it for the town, not us.
Yeah, but you're two separate identities.
But, well,
My personal goal is to
the
go.
Water District has taken the lead in it because they have most of the lead. I want you to know this in case you don't know it. The Water District has already put on the table with Eversource that they would pay the difference between whatever chemical treatments they want to do and clear cutting it. Now, I haven't heard a resolve one way or the other, but I know they've been in contact and negotiations with them for quite a while, and we are not trivia, as you said, it's a different
I was
municipal.
first told them to go pound sand.
Did they? All right.
Yeah, that's last year's news. And the state regulation, it's a law that Eversource is to maintain vegetation underneath the power lines. To have us go out and hand prune, it's illegal unless we own that land. So there is a fine line to cross before we can even have that discussion. Eversource, I have talked to the Water District, and they have not returned.
All right, the reason I say
So-
that is that's why we haven't become real vocal, because we've been aware that they've been negotiating with them, and I know the town isn't going to offer much more than paying for it.
Which is commendable, and I want to thank you for that. You were the first town to step up to say that you would do that, and that's beautiful. My goal is to go to all the boards of selectmen and have a collective county-wide effort yet again. I want to thank you for signing and writing against the YOP 2015 as of last year. You are part of all 15 Cape Cod towns not wanting this to happen in their town. I'm going back again, asking the same thing. That's my second request. The difference being the YOP is not out yet this year. So we wait for the comment period. It'll be about 30 days. Then please read it and write against using herbicidal applications along power lines in your town-owned and privately owned land on your power lines in your town. So that's request number 2. So no reason to write or vote on that at this point. Just know it's going to come up, and I will get in touch with you when that time comes. You'll probably get the paperwork before I even know. So request number 1 I have for the board tonight is to write a letter in support of Dan Wolf's bill S, that's Senate 478, which states that the towns get to choose what type of vegetation management plan they want, and Eversource would have to abide. So it's just a support letter, a quick paragraph. I have a support letter if you want to draft, or you can write your own. I believe in your notes you've got the actual bill, which is only a page and a half long. My third request is a little bit bigger than writing a couple of
You have
documents.
could we have a copy of your?
Absolutely.
The reason why it's not in your packet is because it was submitted after the packets went out. That's why it's not there.
Yes, I apologize. I thought it was part of your packet, so
We have it now.
thank you. If you take that in consideration,
Do you want to read this, and we'll vote to support it?
I can read it, sure.
I'm going to have.
You want to read it?
Okay.
No? Okay. Dear ENRA Committee Chair Senator Goby and Representative Schmidt, we are undersigned the list your town, Mashpee, Board of Selectmen, write to respectfully ask that the ENRA Committee move forward and favorably report out Senator Dan Wolf's bill S-478, a bill regarding vegetation management in the rights of way. The intent of this bill is to give individual towns such a Mashpee the right to negotiate a no pesticide spraying agreement with Eversource Energy Corp., therefore providing the citizens of Mashpee an alternative method of maintaining rights of way without the use of toxic pesticides. Inasmuch as no additional cost would ensure to Eversource from the passage of this bill, and the citizens of Mashpee so strongly support the mandating of alternatives to spraying of toxins, we call upon you to move this matter forward. Respectfully, the Board of Selectmen.
I'd like a motion to support this
Make a
letter.
motion, we support the,
I'll second that motion.
Any conversation? All those in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
yes.
That
Do
was
still have a
easy.
hearing date yet? You know?
That would be in July.
Mr. Chair, I'll have that prepared on stationery for the board to sign.
Okay.
Great.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Yes, you were the 12th town to say yes to that. Thank you very much for supporting that.
welcome.
My third request is,
Don't push it.
I had 3 requests for this evening. So the first 2, a little paperwork. This is asking the Board of Selectmen to allow your town council a conversation with a lawyer, Bruce Taub, out of Orleans, who has taken Eversource to court on October 1st and won.
I would much rather you go through the town manager and our town council. We don't want to make decisions for our town council.
Correct. So this is
Be all right with you?
That's fine.
just asking the board for permission, that's all it
You're
is.
not going to get until he comes back to us and says it's okay.
Okay, every town's different, so
What
what's
I
the
can tell
procedure?
you is town council's coming in for regular hours, I believe it's either this Friday or next Friday. So if you contact my office tomorrow, we'll have a discussion, and then I will have a discussion with him subsequent to your discussion, and then
Great.
I'll report back to the board.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your help on this matter. It's unfortunate that we're back at this stage again, but considering we have won in court, we believe that is going to be the way to stop them. So we're really hopeful all towns get involved.
We always have been. and
You
we'll
have
support.
been wonderful in this. Yes. Again, I'm Laura Kelly, Director of PocoCapeCod.org. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year, you guys.
Thank you for all the good work.
That's right, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, I understand you're giving us an update on Mashpee Cares. It's good to see you again.
Two things tonight, hopefully. One, Gail we work with the governor's opiate State Without Stigma program, and we're trying to get everybody to support the fact that there is a stigma associated with it. We want to treat people with respect. So Gail, you want to talk about that for a second?
Well, in front of you, we have the State Without Stigma proclamation, and we were asking that the board support this proclamation, which really talks about the fact that if people are suffering from addiction, that people really look at them as a disease, and that there is treatment for addiction, and you are not alone. If you know someone or a family member or you yourself are struggling with addiction, you just, there's help out there, and it's just a phone call, or just tell someone until someone listens. And in supporting this proclamation, we are saying that every life is valued, and everyone deserves a chance to have a fulfilling life, and that this is a disease and there is treatment.
Do I have a motion in making the pledge?
I make the motion.
Do you want to read the pledge?
Yes, I will. We, the Board of Selectmen for the town of Mashpee, support state without stigma. We understand that addiction is not a choice, it's a disease. We pledge to join the movement against stigma by embracing those in need, showing compassion in how we think about, talk about, and treat people who struggle with addiction, empowering them to seek treatment and a successful recovery.
Any conversation?
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As far as Mashpee Cares, real quick, this began back in 2010, believe it or not. Then a meeting led by Ed Bradshaw with about 50 people at the high school to talk about a bunch of issues. The goal at the time was considered entitled the well-being, health and well-being of Mashpee youth. 2010, we're talking 3 or 4 years ago, so it's taken a long time. As you all know, at the time we talked about bullying, drug abuse, gang activity, coping skills, and a bunch of things that the kids were all going through that the schools recognized at the time. We garnered a lot of energy and we started moving forward, and we realized at the time that focusing on too many different things was difficult. As a result of that, we kind of lost a little bit of energy. We did surveys with the schools, we talked to a bunch of people, we did focus groups, we gathered a lot of information, and we ended up focusing on the drugs and alcohol issue, which I think was supported by a bunch of other people. As you know, over the course of these years, we've changed superintendents, we've changed town managers, we've changed members of the committee, and as a result of that, we've spun our wheels to some degree. We've got a new committee together now. We're partnering with the Barnstable County Substance Abuse Council, which is a group in Barnstable that recognize that towns on their own, individually, were having difficulty in finding a solution to the problem. All you have to do is look at the newspaper, talk to high school people, talk to other friends of yours, go on Facebook, and you realize this thing is really a very difficult situation to gather people around and support. So what we did is we went to the Barnstable, and Gail replaced me on the Barnstable County Substance Abuse Council. They have created training for towns such as Mashpee to help them sort of put the coalition, if that's the right terminology, together. What happens is we go to a meeting and we talk about the seniors, because we had senior center participation. We talk about enforcement. We had police and fire support. We talk about homelessness. We had Gail from Human Services. We talked about the schools having problems, we could never quite gather around one area to start focusing on so that we can make an impact and then spread out. So these folks came in 2 meetings ago, and I'll send you folks meetings reports so that you can have the data. And they talked about prevention, recovery, treatment, and everything, and we came to the conclusion, as I think many lay people do, that prevention may be the best thing we can focus on. We're not doctors, we're not counselors, we can't really do the recovery piece, we're not all policemen, and so we can't do much about that type of thing. So we focused on prevention, and we outlined prevention through education, good opportunity with the schools. Prevention through communication, which is an opportunity through the newspapers and through the Board of Selectmen, so you can either support or give us direction in the direction you want to go to. And we talked about the town through the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce getting people and commercial entities behind working together on this whole thing. So what we're doing now is we put into 4 subcommittees: a structure committee, a stigma committee that Gail is working on, a membership committee that talks about trying to get various pieces of the town to participate in this goal of ours. And we're beginning to put this into some kind of paper. February 23rd, Barnstable County is coming into the Mashpee Library from 12:30 to 5 to train Mashpee and two or three other towns, small towns, in developing this coalition in the use of prevention to try to actually make some impact. It's frustrating for me to stand here and say we've been 4 years looking at this thing and we haven't really done much about it except talk. So that's kind of where we are. We've partnered with the county. This is a group of people that have 15 or so towns on the Cape together. There's a group of people that can gather some funds. We're working with the governor, as you saw Baker with the Sigma thing, to try to get something that we can get, and Randy Hunt's working with us on it. So we've got a lot of people now that have some substance, that have some opportunity to get us some funds, and collectively with a bunch of towns, we should be able to make some progress. That's really kind of what it is. It's kind of a quick summary because we're not there yet, but we have got the committee, we have got the training coming, and we have the subcommittees ready to start working on this. So I think on the committee, you know, we've got the police, Scott Carline, we've got the fire chief, Tom Rulo, we've got the senior center, which is Lynn Waterman, we've got the library with Kathy Mahoney, which is really the center of a lot of things happening from a training and education perspective. So we've got a lot of good people. Chris Santos from the school committee, we've got Hope Schwam from the tribe. So we've got all the different parts of the town involved. The problem is each one of those parts of the town have their own area of focus, and that we were kind of all centered in one location and all running in different directions. Excuse me. Now with the Barnstable County helping us, we sit back and listen to them tell us how to do this thing, and we're now more unified, more grouped together, and we're heading out in the right direction. 23rd is the next training, followed by a meeting at 5 o'clock that night, and I'll send you information about the result of that. So that's kind of where we are. We're still excited about making progress. We still think it's a great thing to do. We appreciate the fact that the town allowed us to have a committee, and we just want to do something to make it work.
Thank you.
Great.
That's it.
You get the update, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Do I have any liaison reports?
I guess most people already are aware, but a school committee, there's a new chair. Don Myers is the new chair of the school committee. And George Schmidt is the new vice chair. And the meeting was uncomfortable, to say the least. I'm sure most people have, seen it, heard it, throughout it was disappointing. I don't think I have to say anything more, but I'm hoping they get it together and start working together as a committee and get it right.
I'm good, I have nothing to offer. Nothing.
Nope, I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think we're
wait.
finished. We
we
have
got
old
anything else?
business, we have
Yeah, we got
a new
old business
appointment,
and
Oh,
new business.
I'm sorry, I didn't get down to that one.
approval of appointment of associate.
Well, let's do the update on the holiday lights, the Mashpee Rotary first.
Holiday lights, the last time I think we had a conversation regarding those, we were going to defer to the Chamber of Commerce, which we started to do for the purposes of moving forward in future years on the premise that they would receive some training from the folks that are currently doing it and putting them up and taking them down. The POPs committee did have some concerns relative to the continuity of the crew that would be putting them up or taking them down. Long story short, they would like DPW to facilitate this. The last time we discussed DPW, there was some concerns relative to the cost incurred. The POPs committee is prepared to donate, I don't want to use the word reimburse, donate to a special events line item or however we designate it. I want to be careful because I want it specifically earmarked for this purpose, so how it's phrased, I want to be careful. But they will donate $10,000 per year for this purpose. I've had a discussion with the DPW director and I think that's the way to go at this point. Any questions?
No,
How
that's
long's the
excellent.
commitment?
I didn't sign a contract.
Well, I guess my only concern would be not, it's a one-year commitment.
I don't think it's 1 year. I think they want to see this there every year also.
But even at that, if it's 1 year, so at the end of 1 year, we could decide whether we
What
have
we
the
want to do.
lights or we find a different way.
I'm comfortable proceeding with it on, on this basis. And that if they find themselves not in position to continue that commitment, then we revisit it.
Yeah.
I just
Because,
don't want to get incrementalized.
no, I agree with you, because honestly, if it ever came down to that, I think you could form a committee, a private committee in town and raise $10,000 like nothing for it, because so many of the business and private
doing it
individuals
through the
love that
chamber.
Rotary so much.
And what I'd really like to do, to be frank with you, is, I know you like actual costs. Let me find out the true actual cost from DPW after doing it for a year, and compare that to the $10,000, and then report back to you. And then we move forward. We may be in a position where that more than covers our costs. We may be in a position where it's short. If it is, then we could reevaluate.
Yeah, it gotta be an open door policy for the first year, because it's so much, been so much up in the air. I would hate to see us just give up on the lights.
Oh, me
Can
too.
you also look in just what the cost of electricity is? Is that
That
a
I,
separate meter?
that I had, but what I want to caution you on, although I can't cite that figure off the top of my head, we were paying for that anyway.
I
We've
understand
always
that.
paid for that.
We've always paid.
I mean, it was news to me when this came up last time, but it's
I just don't want you to think that we just took that cost on. We've
No, I understand that.
maintained that
I
cost.
understand. I'd just like to
And
understand
for
the
years,
full
and
cost
for
of the
years,
thing.
like, we're going back 30 years we've done it.
But we upgraded.
I
And they- and the
realize,
pops
I realize
chipped
that,
in
but the
also.
lights have been
I think they
always-
paid for that
Yes, they did.
upgrade.
Yes, they did.
I think it's a very nice offer that the Pops is looking to.
I think
I thought it
That's
was,
amazing.
It's more than generous.
I thought it was generous, and I thought it was reasonable
Yes, I did too.
And I
to try to keep the lights on and at the same time, keep the board happy.
Right, I think that's,
I heard people talking about those lights from, towns away,
as did
saying,
I.
wow, you're the best lights
People
in
making
People-
the
all
trip.
of Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Correct.
I heard them talking about Santa down here at the park.
That too.
You need a motion of some sort, or?
No, I don't
It
think
was
so.
more
More
informative,
discussion.
unless the board directed me not to do it. That's how I'm proceeding.
Absolutely, yes. Move forward.
All right, approval for appointment of associate member to full member on the zoning board of appeals, Scott Goldstein.
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation?
None, great guy.
All those in
Yes.
favor?
Yes.
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 Can I get?
I said yes.
Motion to adjourn?
That's what I
Second?
Oh, okay.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Saved my fanning the other, I didn't see that.